Welcome back to Bodybuilding Olympians. The revelations of Dorian Yates' prison life would not fail to entertain us. Dorian Yates is a former professional bodybuilder and 6-time Mr. Olympia winner. He is considered one of the greatest and most famous bodybuilders of all time. However, many may not know that he also spent time in prison. Dorian has opened up about this chapter of his life in interviews and discussions. He talks about what led to his incarceration, his experiences whilst in prison, and how he managed to maintain his fitness routine despite the limited resources available. Dorian's story is inspiring and shows the power of mental strength and resilience in overcoming even the toughest challenges in life. Dorian Yates remains an influential figure in the bodybuilding game. He has been a household name in the world of bodybuilding. He has won Mr. Olympia and has revolutionized the sport with his incredible physique and relentless dedication. Standing around 250 to 270 pounds on stage, he was massive and incredibly shredded. This set a new standard for the sport in conditioning. Dorian was one of the first bodybuilders to weigh up to 300 pounds in the off-season, but his journey to the top took some work. The road to his journey wasn't something cherishable initially, so he shared his experience throughout his career. For instance, the time when he was serving his sentence in prison despite the hardships. Dorian Yates found refuge in jail and began a successful bodybuilding career afterwards. Today, we hear in his own words how this stressful period shaped his future. Dorian Yates began his career as a bodybuilder in a jail cell. Still, a security guard referred him to a powerlifting gym after joining the Birmingham gym. Yates knew that self-renovation and facing atrocities are a part of life. Over the years, Yates' opinion about the sport has always been valued, from speaking about his diet to showing off his physique. At an older age, Dorian Yates still remains a pertinent fixture within the elite bodybuilding community. He's also one of the leading voices in bodybuilding. He's led a career filled with incredible achievements despite starting his career during a dark time. Yates capitalized on and found success at the end of Small Town Boy. Dorian Yates was indeed destined for a life other than his bodybuilding career. Growing up on a small farm in Hurnley, outside of Birmingham in England, he didn't know that he would meet such a tragedy early in his life. He even lost his father at 13 to a heart attack. At 14, city life would meet the country boy Yates as his mother and sister moved to Birmingham after his mother met another man. As usual, fate was unkind to Dorian yet again as his mum's bow passed away before tying the knot. The sudden demise affected him so much that he became an evil gang, hanging out in clubs. Lacking the guidance of his mother, who headed back to the countryside, Dorian Yates got arrested at the age of 19 by the police after a violent riot erupted. A turning point in confinement proved to be a turning point for Dorian. Then he was detained for 6 months at Watton Youth Detention Centre. The young troublemaker found the merits of powerlifting, impressing the guards who were amazed at how strong the teen boy was. Dorian Yates never knew that his life in prison would be a blessing for him and a step towards a bodybuilding career. He started his training in the gym soon after getting out. At 21, he took his first step toward bodybuilding competitions and stardom. Nevertheless, Dorian was slowly gaining headway towards bodybuilding stardom. Lee Haney was already making a mark worldwide and was born in 1959, just 2 years ahead of Dorian Yates. Lee would embrace the sport of bodybuilding way earlier than his future English competitor, starting with lifting weights at the age of 14. Lee had transformed from a skinny, harmless kid on the block into a massive mass of incredibly superhuman proportions, accentuated by the trademarks such as a tiny waist and broad shoulders. Arnold, including for many puny humans who didn't see the inside of a gym, it seemed Haney's symmetry and mass can only be attributed to that of a Greek god who just stepped onto Earth to bless us. From 1984 down to 1991, record 8 years straight, the Sandow Trophy wouldn't change hands held by the heiress king of bodybuilding. Don't be a bench warmer, become a bench presser. From pecs to glutes, we've got you covered. So, if you want to be part of the muscle building madness, smash that subscribe button and let's get swole! During such a reign, the seeds of Dorian Yates' ambition would sow an unstoppable desire that eventually pushed the Englishman to cast his lot on the world stage. However slim it may be, anyone worth his name and salt would agree that Dorian's chances of ever catching up with Lee were improbable by the time that Yates took bodybuilding seriously. In 1983, Haney captured his first Mr. Olympia crown. In 1984, Dorian still laboured a year later, idolising Haney and biding his time. To compete at the level of Lee, Dorian knew he needed to up his game, and then he realised his chances of stealing the scene were closing up on him. If he didn't make a run for it, then his body would eventually betray him, being far from its peak. Finally, the Englishman could prove his mettle against his most cherished idols as the two titans would clash in an epic battle for Mr. Olympia in 1991. If anyone on that stage could hold a candle to Lee, it would have been Dorian Yates. During the competition, it appeared to look like a draw as Yates' actions matched Lee's strong points. However, despite the rigorous efforts, Dorian went home with no title as Lee won the competition, leaving behind a history of confrontation first and last time. As for Mr. Olympia's competitors, the great news was that Lee Haney won at the margin of less than his opponent, Dorian Yates. Yates felt that the small win would be a definite victory. In between the game, he was convinced that he had won the bodybuilding title. In 1992, Lee decided not to compete in Mr. Olympia. Soon after, Dorian Yates created history and started dominating the global bodybuilding scene, earning himself the Sandow Trophy for his outstanding ability. He finally got it. He finally got hold of the Sandow Trophy, which he didn't get in 1992. Dorian would then hang on to it for 6 consecutive years, only relinquishing the acclaimed titles to the future stars. In 1998, he may not have defeated his hero, but Yates gave Lee Haney a run for his money, and not bad for someone who just started late in the sport. Had Dorian Yates settled for less than being good, he would never be able to slay the dragon and become great today. Dorian Yates ranks 4th, having 6 wins from 1992 to 1998. When we count the total of Olympia wins, Arnold is the first with his 7 wins, and taking the top spot are Lee Haney and Ronnie Coleman, who garnered 8 Mr. Olympia in one way or another. Each champion learned from one another and, in this sense, taught each other in doing. Each legend also passed their legacy of excellence to the next, showing the areas where improvements could be made. Had it not been for the incredible physique of Sergio Oliva, Arnold may not have dug deeper to achieve even more spectacular showings. Lee Haney and Dorian Yates are known for their sheer immensity and disciplined work background. Yates may not be able to bring the best of the best out of himself. He has won many titles for himself, such as the 1984 Mr. Birmingham Novice, 1985 World Games, 7th Heavyweight's 1986 British Championship, Heavyweight 1988 British Championships, Heavyweight and overall 1990 Night of the Champions, and 1991 Night of Champions. Dorian Yates never let this humble beginning or past mistake define him. Instead, he used this as his sincere motivation to become one of the greatest bodybuilders ever. Dorian's legacy inspires bodybuilders worldwide, and his records and title testify to his greatness. His journey from a poor gang-involved teen to a 6-time Mr. Olympia champion is unique and outstanding. His legacy will continue to inspire many. Who thought a convict would rise to power like this? He is too an inspiration for many generations to come. Dorian Yates reflected on his journey by bodybuilding, which gave him something called the positive focus. Well, people say don't put all your eggs in one basket, hence bodybuilding was that one egg, and so Yates ran with it. For now, we're at the end of the video, but stay tuned, and if you like this video, follow our channel for more exciting updates on bodybuilding. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in the next upcoming video.